G'day gang, Simo and Ed, back again. And what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about how to get the most out of a business conference. We've got an amazing event coming up in January 2023, and we're going to make it as seamless and as easy as possible for you to get the maximum out of that event. So we thought we'd share a few of the insider tips on exactly what you need to do that.
Yeah. What are your goals? Who do you want to meet? Things like that.
Absolutely.
Well, you're with Simo and Ed, and this is the Fastline Track Growth Show, where we talk all things karting and business.
You've alluded to it already, the first one.
Yeah, I have. So,
really cool idea to set a goal for what you really want from the conference. So I know everybody else that doesn't go to the conference thinks it's a jolly, right? And that's a danger there. And I think the problem is if it's perceived that you're just going away for a bit of a laugh and a bit of fun, then that is a problem. Of course, we do have a laugh and do have some fun. You may have seen the footage last time we were in Germany. It got a little bit out of hand, and it was really, really great fun. But equally, we've had people come away, and one of them, he's made a considerable sum of money just off a couple of ideas that we shared there. So it's really cool to have a goal, not first of all just because you're going, but secondly, so that when somebody says, "Oh, you're off for a bit of fun, are you?" You go, "Well, yeah, but equally, while I'm out there, I'm going to..."
I'm going to, grow my network of contacts. I mean, being a business owner is a very lonely job.
It really is.
The people who work for you really don't get your world.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't understand that. A lot of them think that if you sell something for £2, you get £2.
Yes.
Or even if they know it costs £1, then you're making £1. No, you're not, because you've got your rent, you've got your overheads, you've got your wages, you've got your insurance, and all those other things.
The government will pop in and have a bit as well.
and they don't understand the challenges and the issues you've got to go through. But a fellow track owner does. So it's really good to have a network of people that you can bounce ideas off.
Well, yeah, and just gets what you're going through. I mean, like crikey, we had a few people from Northern America in the last crowd. I mean, they've got individual states have different sales taxes and things like that. So you'll be sitting there going, "Oh, I'm having a bad time of it," and then suddenly you'll discover you've got people in other parts of the world. You're like, "Oh, your problems, they're only just starting, my friend." Well, it's great because you just get to share common experience, and you get people around you. And hopefully get one or two contacts that you really trust, where you've just got a bit of a support network who really understands what you're going through and doesn't give you crazy responses when you're asking what appears to be a straightforward question.
Yeah. And I mean, we've talked about this before. I know we've talked about it in a newsletter. I don't know if we've talked about it on a video, but who you hang around with matters a lot.
It really does.
So... so your goals might be to gather a group, or they might be to gather some insights, some tactics, some marketing, some procedure, or something that other tracks are doing that are working well for them and giving them good results, or you might have a problem.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 tracks I'm aware of. Last time we met in Germany, have gone away and taken just one strategy, implemented one strategy each really well, and they've done better than they could ever imagine. And all of a sudden, not unsurprisingly, all 3 of them are amongst the first who've already told us they're coming to Germany. And that's before they even know what it's going to cost. They're just coming back because they've just had a massive result from just sitting down and hanging out with people that really get their world and shared just a couple of quick ideas that have really helped them.
So, point 2. Create a schedule and plan to leave your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
We're big fans of planning, and the effort that goes into planning this actual Karting Spectacular is immense.
It's massive.
I mean, we're holding a kart race this time.
Yeah.
And we've been debating about locations and how to get people there and back and dangers of it. And
let's lay our cards on the table for the viewers. I've even said to you at one point, you're crazy, I don't think you should be doing this. But we're going ahead, we're going to find out who the fastest kart track owner in the West is. Maybe globally, depends where they're all coming from. We've had to plan meticulously, but as an attendee, I'd advise that you're planning as well.
To get the most out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
So, some ideas are, let's get a hashtag going.
Yep.
And use that in your social media so you can start to work out who's going there.
Yes.
So, hashtag Karting Spectacular is what we'll use.
Now you can start
and
to
now you can
stalk.
sort of going, right, off to Dortmund Germany next week, hashtag Karting Spectacular. And then you can start searching on hashtag Karting Spectacular, and you can work out who else is going.
That's right, and who you want to speak to,
and then
recognise them when they walk through the door and say something about their track. So particularly if you're not very sort of comfortable making conversation, I think most of you will be. You're in a very much of a B2C environment, so you're used to speaking with people from all sorts of backgrounds, but it can be daunting going up to, like a large track owner or something like that. And if you go up and you already know a little bit about what they're up to, that will enable you to just open the door to a conversation, so that can make things a lot more comfortable. But you do need to just push out your comfort zone a little bit just to make sure you're getting the most out of these events. I mean, if you really want to go and push the boat out, why not hashtag, go and check them, go and reach out to them before they've even turned up to the event and chat about, do you want to get a beer? I think there's something happening at 7 p.m. on whatever night it is. Do you want to get down about 6:30 and we just have a catch up for half an hour and have a chat?
Yeah, and crikey, if there's someone you really want to meet and you want some help or you want an introduction, come and talk to me or Ed or one of the team and we'll get it sorted, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it really is.
It's about developing that network.
Well, interestingly, that event we're putting on is more about the people in the room than it is about us.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody, we talked about this in a prior video, but everybody thinks when you turn up at an event, you're all looking at the stage, and yes, we've got a microphone, and there'll be periods of time when we can command maybe focus on us. But as soon as we think it's about us, we've lost the game. It's all about you and the audience. So we'll never lose sight of that, and you should just know that it means a lot to us.
And the feedback we got from the last event was we want more networking. So what have we done? We've given them loads more networking. But I remember when we were planning out the day for the conference, and it's like last year I think we had 45 minutes for lunch.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, and what did you tell me to do for lunch this year?
I can't remember now. Probably
an hour and a half.
Double it at least.
An hour and a half.
I can't remember, and I just said double it, so that's an hour and a half. Yeah.
So we just give more ideas, and when you meet these people, work out a schedule to catch up with them. Later, for a one-on-one. I mean, if we're encouraging everyone to stay at the venue, we're offering triple B rated accommodation package, which is breakfast, bed, breakfast and beers.
There you go.
You get a beer each day. But so you can organise to meet them for breakfast.
Yeah.
Or you could organise to meet them before a session in the bar or after a session in the bar.
Yeah.
It's great talking over a beer, It sort of just loosens the lips, eh?
It does. I found out a couple of interesting things when I was in the bar in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
That stays between me and them.
Yes. Find out what's working well for other tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you've got a particular problem that you're trying to grapple with, come and talk to us and sort of say what it is, and we'll keep our ears and eyes open. And if we know anyone who's had that problem or solved that problem, we'll introduce you.
Yeah, be authentic, I think. Everybody, we've got particularly lots of cultures, certainly UK, Australia will have this, America, bundles of it. You go and you always present your best self. But it's okay to be authentic and go, do you know what? We had a bit of a bad month or a bit of a bad year, or actually I'm a bit worried about what's coming up in the future. Find out what other people have done. So what's working well, what didn't work so well. It really that's getting out your comfort zone and just being a bit authentic about who you really are, and others will respond, because nobody has brilliant day after day all the time.
And a lot of I'm going to say 99% of the people in the room aren't going to be your competitors.
But easily.
You know, we had people from 16 different countries last time.
Yeah.
And there's bound to be more this time. And you know, how's someone in Australia going to affect a kart track in the UK?
I know.
You know. Third one is create your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
And ask bloody good questions.
Yeah, so your elevator pitch is, what do you say when somebody says, so what do you do? What are you going to tell them in the next 40 to 60 seconds, max probably, about you that gets them to go, oh. And ideally you want them to just take a little half step backwards, go, really? Wow, that sounds interesting. So I'd work on your elevator pitch. You know, you've got 40, 60 seconds to go and impress them, and they say, so you know, what brings you here? What do you do? Tell them a little bit that just gives them a little bit of an insight into why they should stay a little bit longer, just have a chat and find out all about what you do.
But don't give them too much of it also. Just give them enough to be intriguing and encourage that dialogue. So it's sort of like, you know, if you're an accountant and they come in, oh, what do you do? I'm an accountant. That's boring. It's closed. You know, what's going to happen? And you know, but if you say, oh, well, I help businesses save 30% on their taxes. Well, you know, if you're a lawyer, you say, well, I get Ed out of trouble when he's driving his cart around the
around the lobby of a five-star hotel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to get me out of that one if they catch hold of it. It is interesting to say so. It's odd you mentioned accountant. You know, I've done a talk recently for an accountancy event, and there was another accountancy company there. And when I met him, I said, "What do you do for a living?" He says, "I'm an accountant. You know the sort of thing we do." And that's how he introduced himself. And I'm like, I've got no frigging idea who you are. I don't know what you do other than do some books, I'm guessing. I don't know what he does.
Say you're a personal trainer, and they ask you what you do, and you say, well, I help people appear better to the opposite sex.
Yeah, much more interesting.
Right, now that's interesting. What are you going to say to that? Tell me about that.
I'll be like, do you sell big sticks? I can beat them away.
That's more likely to get a response and create some dialogue.
Well, it depends what's happening down the kart track. So if I'm a kart track owner, I sat down and I said something like, so what do you do for a living? Go like, I own a 60-seater kart track that's constantly busy, and actually I've made it the #1 go-to venue in the local town that we're set up in. That's probably enough. Now, if you said that to any other kart track owner, they're not about to walk away now. They're going to go, how do you know, and what did you do? There's so many, they're just going to be on every word. So, I don't know what you've done at your track. It'll be interesting to find out. But if you've got something that's unique about you, that's be really cool. And if you're with somebody who doesn't have an elevator pitch and hasn't told you anything, then you need to learn to ask BGQs.
Yep, bloody good questions.
We've talked about this in sales videos, but asking bloody good questions will unlock everything. So open-ended questions.
Yep.
What brings you here would be a nice, easy-going opening line. If you've already stalked them using the hashtag, go, are you the guy that owns... Yeah, I was really intrigued that you had this on your social media profile. How did this work for you? Would be a really interesting conversation piece. And see what transpires from there. There'll be people, we're tying up with the IKA event in Dortmund. So some people will be there looking specific types of kit. So they might be saying, well, I'm coming here to see a supplier as well as coming on to Karting Spectacular. If you know those people, find out. If you get to them before they do, maybe warm up the introduction.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you're going there to replace your timing system, say, you know, if the person you're talking to says that, well, you know, the next day when you're wandering around the event and you find a new timing system, so let's call it timing system X.
Yes.
Right. So you found, you know, when you see them the next night, that evening in the bar or one of the Fastline events, you go, oh, I saw a new timing system X. Did you see them?
Yeah.
Here's the guy to talk to. I've had a word to him. He only knows your front and first name. You know, no obligation. But just go and say that Simo sent you, and and whoever else recommends him, it's important to say Simo sent you, because I do a lot of work, and I have with other karting brands.
Yeah.
And they're often asking me to work with them, bring them customers, and get a commission. Now, I'm not about that. You know, I want to stay independent.
Yeah.
And my response to them always is, I'm happy to send you customers, but the commission you would have given me, I want you to take off their price.
Cool. So it'll be more
it's
cost
a win-win.
effective, for them to mention your name.
And I'm not pressured to.
The other one, the life of an exhibitor and event as well, is them trying to hand stuff out and people going, no thank you, and walking away. So if you know that somebody, like Timing System is a great example, you know somebody else in the event and you want to remain memorable with them, be the only person that day that will walk up to them and go, I'd like a card. Actually, have you got two? There's somebody else I know is interested. You'll be the only person that says that day, or people that are at the event who remember this and are doing it. They'll be like, this was a good event. We had 30 people coming up asking not just for one card, but for two. So that would be a really interesting way to be memorable with the suppliers as well.
Yeah, and of course you are going to ingratiate yourself with that person who you've helped out.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to go, oh wow, he's thinking of me, and then you build stronger rapport, and you have deeper conversations. Good old meaningful conversations.
Absolutely. That you've got all the details then on how to open up a conversation, but of course you need to create space for conversations to happen. So this is our fourth point about automating the essentials.
Yeah, and it's probably the last point about the pre-event.
Yeah.
So automate the essentials. So have your out of office thing on your email.
Yep.
So that you not pressurised to respond quickly, to make sure that any marketing you got set up is set on automation. I mean, when we went on that Scandinavian trip, I think we were 3 weeks. I had 90% of the videos done. I had to do a little bit. And I had all my emails done and automated to be sent at specific dates and times.
Cool.
And I didn't have to worry about that. And it ticked over. So, you know, that's really good.
And think about your out of office responses as well. So if you are coming along to Dortmund, you're going to discover stuff that's going to really, really work well for your track and equally work well for your customers. So tell them. Say, hey, I'm away for 4 days in Germany, checking out a load of really cool stuff that I'm going to bring back and use at the track. If you want to catch up with me, then I'm back on whatever day you want to go and start taking phone calls again. Meantime, if you're just calling to book in for a race, book straight in here, give them a link, and check out all the new stuff that will be coming throughout the year ahead. Now you've just done everything you probably needed to do without having to speak to anybody really, really quickly.
That is probably a good point to end this week's video.
Yep.
And we'll go on and give you another
few points.
5.
Excellent. 5.
5
Excellent.
points next week for what happens at the event.
Cool.
And
So
afterwards.
I'm going to show you ways to get loads of good stuff and content out of the events, and in particular one we're holding in January in Dortmund. So start circling the dates for the
it is
12th and 13th.
Yeah, the 12th and 13th is the Spectacular, and then the 14th and 15th, which is the Saturday and the Sunday, is the IKA.
Put those dates now into your calendar, and we'll see you next week when we go through a few more ideas on how to get the most out of these events.
All right.
Cheerio.